to have this Ask Me Anything style real talk with my friend Shaquinta, Dr. Shaquinta, who is just an amazing life coach that is going to spend some time today telling us a little bit about herself, a little bit about her journey, but most importantly, she's going to get to it and answer some of the questions that you guys have submitted ahead of time about the things that you're thinking about, whether it's love life, whether it's family, career, parts of your life. We're going to get into it today. So if you have not had a chance to submit a question, I promise you, it is not too late. You can still take the time to drop any question in the Q&A functionality in the webinar and we will get to it. But before we get into all of that, I am going to have Dr. Shaquinta tell us a little bit about herself. Thank you so much for coming today.
I am so excited to be here. This is just one of those moments where you know somebody before, right? You
Yes.
know somebody when, and to get to see what you've built has been just amazing to witness. So I'm super 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 happy to be here, and yeah, I'm excited for this conversation today. Y'all, my name is Dr. Shaquinta Richardson. I am a life coach and wellness strategist and consultant. And I own Beyond Achieving Coaching and Consulting, where I primarily support Black women, professionals, high achieving creatives, the Black women doing amazing things and really recentering themselves within their lives, their goals, their dreams, their needs, their wants, their desires, and kind of creating our lives from the inside out. So that's what I've been doing now for about 5 years. My training, my education, my previous experience as a marriage and family therapist. So I had a private therapy practice for a few years. I was a professor of marriage and family therapy and clinical director in a master's program. So I have a good bit of mix of experiences and trainings and all that kind of stuff. And my PhD is specifically in human development and family science with an emphasis in marriage and family therapy and disability studies. And so my research focused on Black women as well, particularly Black women with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so I've been in this world of understanding Black women across just like the gamut of identity. And that has kind of culminated into this work. So I am very excited to speak to your audience and speak to people today, answer these questions. I wrote some notes down. I was thinking about some things beforehand. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
So what I'm hearing here is qualified, talented, credentialed. So if y'all thought we were just bringing on anybody, no, you got someone who is here, who really has done the work, who has been not only professionally credentialed but academically credentialed to be a great person to kind of give you a piece of advice here today. But I know that your journey didn't just start here. I've known you since I think I was like a fresh 20, maybe a 21, a fresh 20, back when
Yeah.
we were both corporate baddies at one of the largest corporations in the nation. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? How did you get here? And
Mhm.
why did you decide to do a pivot?
Oh, it's funny. That job is the reason I pivoted. Okay, I left that particular job. So, in order to tell that story, I have to start even earlier.
Okay.
And y'all, this is it's actually kind of it's a little ridiculous, but it is what it is. So I'm a first generation college grad. I didn't have many people in my family who went to college, and so I was the first. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I grew up everybody saying you should be a doctor, smart kids, doctor or lawyer. Those are the options.
Mhm.
And so I was on the doctor track, and I got to college. I realized, girl, you don't like science, not like that. Not to spend the next 4 years plus pursuing a degree in that. So I was like, what do I want to do now? Freshman year, first semester freshman year, I'm like, I do not like this. And it wasn't because it was hard. I want to be clear. It wasn't because it was hard. That's not the issue. But I was like, I don't enjoy a thing about this.
Mhm.
What am I doing? And so I pivoted. I changed my major. This is the funny part. I didn't know what to do. And so I was watching Two Can Play That Game one day.
Oh, okay.
And Vivica Fox, and I want to say Wendy Raquel Robinson. I think they were both in like marketing. They were both executives. So I was like, I'm gonna do that. So I changed my major to business, and that's how I chose my major for the rest of college. And I enjoyed it as a major, but then when I got into corporate America, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Everything about it just I just couldn't get with. I couldn't buy in
Mm-hmm.
to the whole concept. And I
Yes.
did. There was a mentor that I had at that job, and she had me doing exercise of just things that I enjoyed doing, my strengths, things that weren't my strengths, X, Y, and Z, and everything I enjoyed about my job had nothing to do with my actual job. It had to do with people and talking
Mm.
and supporting people, X, Y, and Z. And so did some research, became a therapist. Sorry, that was a long story, but it leads.
No, I love it. I love it. And we're gonna get to the questions, y'all, but I want to give a little bit of background because one thing that I think you may not know, because I didn't know until I had a chance to talk to Dr. Shaquinta, was there's life coaches and there's therapists. What's T? What's the difference between the two?
Yeah. So I'm not gonna try to paint this picture like there's they're completely vastly different unrelated worlds. There are
Okay.
some overlaps. We all talk about emotions. We all talk about thoughts. We all talk about the person and the being of the thing. But the way that I've always thought about it is like one therapy is a mental health service. It is a health service, and so it's health care. And so therapists support people in health and wellness. And that can kind of venture out to other areas. It doesn't venture out to relationships. It does venture out, to marriage, to parenting, all of those things, because that is all a part of the being. But therapy is primarily a health service. So I think of it as similarly to how you would think about like a trainer, a fitness trainer. Like you go to a doctor, a nurse practitioner, whatever the case may be, when you are hurting, when you are even for maintenance, even to kind of work on your like make sure that your mental health is solid, that you're healthy, that you are functioning and to the best of your ability. Um, but a trainer, you have specific goals. You're wanting to improve yourself in this way. You have kind of a future focused purpose or something that you are trying to create or build or do, and that's where a a trainer comes in. So that's where a coach comes in. We help you reach your goals. We help you to build, create, be accountable to some future thing, project, new reality. Um,
Mm.
way of doing things X, Y, and Z. So we support you in that way. Like a trainer or a doctor or healthcare worker can be a trainer. They can be a trainer, but a trainer can't automatically be a healthcare worker.
I
Okay.
hope not. I hope not.
Yeah. So there's some overlap. There's some things we do, but I think that's the biggest difference, that coaching is specifically to help you reach a goal.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
So someone might be sitting on the call at thinking to themselves, like, what types of questions do I bring to a life coach?
Um, it depends. And this is actually going to be this is a common answer to pretty much any question that I am asked. It depends. Like that is,
My favorite saying with my best friend is that everything depends on everything.
uh-huh. It really, really does. Um, so what's the question? Y'all, I'm a little
What are common kind of things people are bringing to a life coach?
okay. It depends on a number of things. It could be a specific, like anything. The answer is anything other than specific mental health issues,
Got it.
or legal issues, or anything that in and of itself has its own professional field. Um, I would say a coach wouldn't be appropriate for.
So I'm
Uh,
not going to ask you how I can stay out of jail. I'm not going to ask you, do I have a certain mental health issue? I'm not going to ask you, can you read over this legal contract for me? Can you redo my finances? But I might say something like, hey, I've really been struggling with X, Y, and Z. Can you help me think through this? Hey, my goal is to get to X. Can you help me get there? What are some tangible steps I should be taking? How should I be thinking about it?
exactly. There you
All
go.
right. Well,
Yeah.
with that, we are going to hop into some of the questions that people submitted ahead of time. Um, when I read through these questions, I was like, wow, I'm super excited to hop into these because some of them actually relate a lot to my own personal life. So I feel like I'm also going to get a lot from this too. So, question one, and again, everyone, these questions are going to be anonymous. She wrote in and said, I am a single mother and I have been contemplating a career change for some time now. I am trying to find a career that offers more flexibility and better work life balance. I'm also hoping to find something with a higher earning potential to provide for my family. I'm a bit nervous about the transition and how it will affect my children. I would really appreciate any advice or resources you might have on making a successful career change. This is a big step for me, and I want to make the best decision possible. So, how should she think about trying to become a higher earner? She has children that may make her be potentially away from the house more often, having to step away from things. But she seems like she wants to kind of think through it in a very thoughtful way.
So I would actually suggest stepping back a bit. And some of this just may be a function of not having the full context. So I'm going to go just on what we have here. So some questions that I would have are there already, like, do you already have an idea of what that job could be, or what you want to be doing that you're not currently doing?
Mhm,
Because that's really step one. And the reason I say that is I hear you being concerned about your kids, but I don't think you have enough data yet to determine what you need to be considering when it comes to the kids. So based on this, like, do you know for certain that the job that you get will be somewhere else? Um, Something that I would break down is, what are the challenges that you're currently having in your role? Is it a function of the role itself? Do you like the company but not the role? So could that be an opportunity to either seek or create a new role within your current job? Like, is there an opportunity there, or you just really need to get out of there and you're trying to figure out new, like a new role that fits you better, the skills that you want to be utilizing now. So I think that the question that you're asking is putting more onto the decision that needs to be on it right now.
mm,
And so, and that's a common thing that we do as we're trying to be thoughtful, as we're trying to kind of assess risk and trying to kind of plan things out. We create problems that don't yet exist, which makes the issue at hand more complex than it needs to be. Okay.
mhm,
So that's where I would start. And to answer the question about the kids, I mean, their ages and the context, like personalities, do they like where they at? There are a bunch of different pieces to consider when it comes to the kids. But I think the biggest thing and the thing that you can take, regardless of the answers, is communication. Okay, so
mhm,
whenever you do get that role, whenever you do decide what it is you want to be doing, then if it does require for you to move, because the other thing I was going to say is, like the role, you could find a remote role, and that could be great. There are pieces that could keep this from even being an issue. But if it becomes one, communication, 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 for whatever their developmental stage is, communicating with them about what is going to happen and listening to them, listening to their concerns, whatever fears they may have, whatever desires, things that you can do to help make the transition smoother. But you can't always prevent an impact, but you can prevent how severe it is and whether it's like negative or positive. So, I mean, like, I got a job, so we out of here, and you deal with it. Like that might be a little traumatic. But if you have conversations with them and you prepare them, and before and during and for a bit after, and support them through the transition, that will make a lot more difference, regardless of what the situation is.
So what I'm hearing is don't overcomplicate the problem. Take one thing at a time and deal with the first issue first before you start compounding all the issues. And that no matter what, whether it's a good or bad outcome, communication is the key. So we're going to pivot because that one was more about a career change. The next question actually comes from someone that says, I am in love with a man that I am not physically attracted to, but everything else is compatible. How do I get over this? Because that'd be real.
So when I read this question, I was like, "Ooh, that's hard." But then I started, okay, let's back this up. What I would wonder is, what were you attracted to in the first place? Like,
Mm,
there's some way that you in love with this person. So something attracted you. So what is that? What attracted you in the first place? And how did that help you to move past the not attractiveness and attractiveness?
mhm,
Um, but something that and also, like, what does it mean when you say you're not attracted to? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, be specific, because then it can help you kind of unravel a little bit more. Um, but what I am actually wondering though is, if you got as far as to falling in love with this person, and I'm gonna, I don't have context here, I don't have information here, but in relationships, like, I would like, if there's intimacy, if there are other things that you're able to engage in that allowed you to fall for this person, that allowed you to connect with this person so deeply for you to be in love with them. What I would wonder is it non-attraction, or is it some concern about, like, external validation? Is there some
mm,
belief about what this person's appearance means about you, about your life, about your choices, about whatever it is? Do you feel like you're giving something up by continuing the relationship with this person? Because while, like, that's real, like, you have to be attracted to somebody to be with them. But if all of these other things are there, it's that's murky. It's like, so then what's getting in the way? Because you still fell in love with them. So I would kind of do some internal searching and trying to unravel, like, what this means to you and why it matters so much. And if you get down to it and you're just like, I can't do it, you have to realize that you letting go everything else for a superficial reason, because it is still super, even if it's real, even if it's still superficial. But you get to have that, but you would have to live with the decision to let all of the rest of that go in pursuit of a package that might look better or be more attractive. You said attractiveness, something that might be more attractive, but might be missing some other things. Okay, that's a choice you need to make, but just know that that's the choice you would be making.
so what I'm hearing is, do you want to be shallow or not? Another person submitted this question. She states, I am 31 years old and I live with my 85-year-old grandmother, and I have been since I was 18. It has become difficult to live with her. As she ages, she has become increasingly mean spirited, more codependent on me, and negative. This has only gotten worse over the years, and as I get older, I do understand that she's had some issues that she never resolved. I don't yet have the means to move out, but the situation is affecting me mentally day in and day out. I'm aware that I can't change her, but how can I practice acceptance without approval and change my mind to understand that it won't always be this way? That's a tough one. And though everyone may not have a scenario in which they are living or currently with, the person, I think everyone has a relationship in their life that they can probably think about where there's a family member or someone that you have to spend a significant amount of time that doesn't have a good aura or a good vibe around you, but you're still connected to them in some way, and you have to figure out how do you deal with that. So thinking about this question in particular, but also kind of thinking about for anyone else who might be on the call more broadly, like, how do you manage tough kind of relationships with people that are not the kindest to you?
Yeah, this one is really tough because there is the aging component. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to be sensitive and as clear as possible when it comes to that, because when it comes to aging, there are some things that cannot be helped.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to some family members, they can help it. So all of this grace ain't for them, okay?
Yep. Okay.
when it comes to an aging, like 80, we're talking about 85 years old, and you're identifying a decline.
Yep.
Um, now it didn't. It's not clear whether this was something that was like whether she talked to you like that before and it's just gotten worse, or if
Mhm.
she did talk to you like that before and it started. So if it was like that before and it's just worsened, then that's also a different story. So some questions that I have are: is there other family? I saw in there
Mhm.
that you've been with her since you were 18, but are there other family members that are or can be involved? If the answer is yes, then involve them, lean on them, let them know what's going on, request help, request support, um, and yeah, don't try to carry it all on your own. I don't know if there are resources or things that you have access to that can help support you in caring for her, because she's going to continue to get older and older. Um, um, and so yeah, like the biggest thing is support if it's available. If it's not, and I hope that's not the case, but based on the question, context clues, then you have to do what you can to have protected time where you clear out that energy, where you clear out
Mhm.
that those words, where you give yourself space to release them intentionally. You can journal it out, you can breathe it out, you can cry it out, but do not keep it, don't soak it in.
Yep.
um, so giving yourself intentional spaces and time to release. I don't know what your personal support system looks like, but if there are friends or creative outlets, communities that you can tap into just to give yourself something that brings you joy. So space
Mhm.
release and yeah, let go of whatever those painful words and messages that she gives you, release them. Have intentional time to fill yourself back up with other words, more positive words, truer words to who you are and what you need to feel and what you want to feel. Um, and yeah, create experiences for joy. It's time to release that, like do things that give you joy, connect with other people. Um, yeah, there are so many other just contextual pieces that we don't know, about your situation, but that's what I would say is to be just really intentional about um not absorbing it just because she says it doesn't make it true. And that's true for everybody. That's true for everybody. Just because somebody says it doesn't make it true, doesn't make it fact. It doesn't matter how close they are to you, how much you love them, you care about them, whatever. Just because somebody says it doesn't make it true. And so one thing is that's for everybody. So with all of the situations that could fit this, is recognizing that everybody's perspective is a perspective. It's an opinion based on who they are and what goes on in their mind, and that you can't control it. You can't do nothing about that. And so yeah, you have to get very clear on who you are not, um,
Mhm.
and release everything else.
I love that. I have so many questions, but I want to make sure I get through the questions from the people that submitted. But I love this the saying that just because someone said it doesn't mean it's true. And like I hear you, boo, but like I'm not absorbing that. Um, if we have time, I'm going to come back to that one because I think there's a lot of like just notions around like, well, how do you communicate to someone that's not aging where you can kind of have that conversation with them and let them know like, hey, how you're treating me is not okay. But let's get to some of these other questions that people have submitted because there's a lot of good ones here. Um,
Can I say one more
Another,
thing real quick?
go ahead.
Don't engage, don't argue. Just neutral to get yourself through whatever it is.
Mm.
Exactly.
Mhm. Um, Someone asked, how do you coach someone or yourself that you actually need to have it all together? I feel like I keep setting myself up for failure, thinking that I have it together. And I know that's not like we don't have a lot of context here, but what I kind of hear from that question is like, I feel like I just keep getting in a place where I feel like I got it and I keep stumbling and I keep and I keep having these pitfalls. And so, like, how do I just finally kind of like get my ish together? Like, and how do I get to see, do a little bit better of a job kind of foreseeing where I may have these upcoming pitfalls?
So, ooh, this was actually one of my favorite questions. This is one of my favorite questions in life in general because it goes back to this idea that somebody has it together, somebody else has it together, and why can't I? And
Mm,
the reality is nobody has it all together. Nobody, not a single person. They may have that thing together in this moment,
yep.
they that nobody has the answer. Nobody has figured out the and have just, life is smooth from then on out. What's really happening is everybody is figuring it out as they go. Everybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what you do for work. I don't care where you are. I don't care how many friends. I don't care it does not matter how clear your skin is, how body type, nothing. Nobody has it all figured out. But the people who are able to have peace
Yeah.
in the figuring it out are the people who accept that nobody has it figured out.
Mm.
The
You know, my
happiest.
biggest thing that has given me peace this year is someone asking me like, how am I doing or what's going on? I'll be like, as of 5:20 on 6:20, I am doing okay. But literally just for this moment. Because if you'd have asked me 5 minutes ago, it may not it might have been a little rocky. If you ask me 10 minutes in the future, who knows? But as of this moment right now, I'm good. And I'm okay with being in this moment right now good. And if things bounce a little off of ricochet a little bit later, it's okay because I had some moments of peace right now. Okay.
Exactly. Literally. Like you figure a thing out. You learn a lesson. Like we're all going through life. We're having experiences. And if we are paying attention, if we're not stuck in this false belief that we have to do a thing, then we're much clearer to see the lessons that are actually in front of us that are informed by our life experiences. Because we're looking at externally for somebody else to tell us what to do because that's easier. Like that's it's easier. It cut down some time. But when it comes to our personal experiences, we learn so much quicker when we're actually paying attention to, like when we keep our eyes on our own paper.
Yep.
And when you are focused on your own stuff and moving through your own experiences and learning as you go and taking your personal lessons and realizing that every single new level, new experience, new transition, new space, new age, new whatever comes with newness. It comes with things you're not going to know. It comes with things you're going to have to figure out. It comes with new habits that you have to build. It comes with new old habits you have to break. It comes with systems that might not work anymore. It comes with relationships that might not work the way they used to. Every single transition comes with something that you're going to have to figure out, and you're gonna go through you may absolutely have a period in you probably had them, the ones where you're like, I thought I had it figured out. Yeah, that's normal. That's your lull period. That's where you get to breathe for a second, and then life happens again, and then you'll figure that out, and then it'll happen again and again and again in perpetuity. Like
Yep.
that's life. And so one of the biggest lessons, or one of the biggest things I want people to learn as a whole, and especially Black women, is that nobody has the answer. Nobody has it figured out. We've been so used to checking the boxes and doing all the right things and that rewarding us in a particular
Mm-hmm.
way. But a lot of us are figuring out that we've come to the end of that particular line. We've come to the end of the last stop on that train station. It ain't working no more.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's free for all. It really is. And that's scary when you've been a rule follower, when you've had a set path. And yeah, so okay, yeah. I think that's enough.
And Noel, I'm gonna get to your second question, but some Noel wrote in the chat, well, what is wrong with having it figured out? And what I'm hearing you say is that there's nothing wrong with having it figured out. If you got it figured out, girl, pat yourself on the back, A plus, doing a good job. But know that down the road, at some point, life will have its peaks and valleys. And so once you get to a point where you may not have the questions answered, that's okay too.
Exactly. Exactly. New questions will come.
Okay. I love that. And as a Virgo, I struggle hard with not having because I know the answers and why don't you know the answers? But there's always a kind of a part in life, currently very much so living in the season of it feels like daily, weekly, there's a new something.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new
Mm-hmm.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Um and being okay knowing that like it's okay that I don't have all the answers and I'm figuring it out. So I hope that spoke to somebody like it spoke to me. Another question that someone asked, I just scrolled past it. This is another long one, so bear with me. But I love when people give context because it's super helpful. So I I think it's a she. She said, I am 63 years old, in a relationship for 3 years, and we live in different states. I have never been invited to visit my friend, she put in quotation marks, at his home. But he has visited and spent the night with me several times. I lost my job a year ago, and I realized not once has he asked me if I'm okay. He has never asked about my mental, emotional, or financial state. In the beginning stages of the relationship, we thoroughly discussed where we wanted the relationship to go, and we both agreed on marriage. However, he has since come back and said he has done his research and he could not find any good financial reasons for us to get married. And since then, that statement was made, I have withdrawn and not invested any more emotions in the relationship. I think he is a good guy, just not the guy for me. Is it time to call it quits? Because see, I be thinking about these things at 35, but my good sis said, even at 63,
Mm-hmm.
they still wishy washy. So should sis call it quits? And besides just him not wanting to get married, why hasn't he asked about her emotional, mental, or financial state? Is that something that she should or should not be kind of concerned with?
So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut on. Um, hmm. Sometimes we know the answer,
Mm-hmm.
but we are hoping that somebody says something to give us some reason
Mm-hmm.
to prolong a decision that we know we need to make, but we're afraid to make it.
Whew.
Okay? You wrote it, so I know you know what it says.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we're looking at it and we know what it says too.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes we don't ask that particular question unless we know the answer. So, should you call it quits? Is this the relationship that you want? Is this the kind of relationship that you want?
Mm.
What are you holding on to within the relationship? Okay. Why are you allowing him to make all the decisions about what y'all do and what, like, if you said y'all agree and y'all want this, you get to choose. Okay. You get to decide, you get to say if this is enough for me. We get caught up in this idea of the good man, that he's a good guy, but is he a good partner for
Mm.
you? Not even is he a good partner. Is he a good partner for you? You have to get very clear on what you want and what you need and not be willing to be so compromising because we do have to compromise. We have to work with a partner. Like it's a partnership. But I don't see the partner in the partnership. Okay. And when it comes to relationships, you have to ask yourself, is it equitable and is it reciprocal?
Mm.
Context matters. There are ways that, like, long distance relationships happen all the time, and there are ways to be intentional. There are ways to make sure that you are supported. There are ways to make sure that time is given and shown and that consideration made, that there's consistency, that you feel supported, you feel cared for. Are you feeling those things? But going back to the decision part, sometimes we don't make the decision, or we want somebody to essentially be able to like talk us, make the situation easier for us so that we don't have to do the hard thing. So we don't have to make the hard decision because of what's on the other side.
Mm.
So what are you afraid of on the other side of that decision? I do also think that sometimes we believe that if we make a decision, that we have to act on it immediately. And that could be the fear. Like if I'm honest with myself about what is or isn't working, if I say the thing, then that means I have to do something about it. And yes, you need to do something about it. But that doesn't mean you have to do it right away. You can give yourself a moment to breathe the thing. You can give yourself a moment to say, I really wanted this to work out and it's not. And then create your exit strategy. Okay. But this idea that good, good person or good guy, it like that's baseline.
Yeah.
That's baseline, y'all. That's not something we need to elevate as partnership, prime partnership material.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things to say there, but those are the things that came to mind. Oh, and what is the cost of keeping him? That's also a thing. Anyway.
I'm just curious because you led with oftentimes when people ask this question, they already know the answer. And I'm just curious from your experience, how often do people know? How often do people ask, especially when it comes to questions about relationships, when they say, do I need to call it quits? Do they really kind of already know? Would you say like 60% of the time, 40% of the time, most of the time? Like, I'm curious because I know there's so many times as a non therapist or a life coach or your friend kind of calling you like, girl, I got a question. What do you think I should do? It's like, girl, you already know what you need to do. But I'm curious for you because it might be helpful to other people just to be like, just trust your gut.
Yeah, literally. And percentage wise, it's hard not to say like 90%, 90, 95,
Really
like
that high?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Because it takes time to release the thing because when it comes to relationship, especially when there's love there, we put so much hope into a potential future, which is, part of the problem. We put too much of that hope in too fast sometimes.
Mm.
Um, but we put so much hope in it. And I know Chris Vija said the hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Baby, when it comes to relationships, that hope, sometimes you gotta let it die. You gotta let it die. And I've like we've all been here. So that's like 90%, probably at 100% at some point. Like we've
Yeah.
all been there.
Yeah.
Depending on how many times you've been there, that tells how whether you learning or not, whether you're paying attention or not to the lessons. But we've all been there. We've all been there, and it's because it's hard. It's scary. But you can like you'll be all right. Like you'll figure it out. You'll be all right. Like you'll be okay. But settling for something you know you don't want is keeping you in inner turmoil. Because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be one of those people that are gonna be like, you're definitely gonna find something better, baby. The pool is challenging, okay? We can't we can be hopeful. We can
Yes.
we absolutely should be hopeful because it's
Yes.
okay. But I also want us to be able to imagine a world where we're not centering that particular type of love and care and relationship when there are other ways for us to be fulfilled and loved and cared for and held. Um, and not have to be over here questioning our worth and our all these things tied to somebody who's not treating us as though we are worthy.
We have several more questions, but probably only time for one more. So, girl, we might have to have you back because this is so good. Um, But the last question from the questions I'll ask you is someone says, what are some tangible tools I can use to focus on tasks at work and also to disconnect from work? I find myself drained and exhausted at the end of each workday, praying for a new job, wondering where all of my time went, and honestly feeling guilty that I don't have the energy for my after work endeavors.
Okay, so this one was hard because there are a few questions to consider. Um, what is the actual work schedule? Like, is it a reasonable work schedule to like are you working super long hours and then expecting to have energy after work? That don't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, are you fulfilled in the work itself? Like, do you hate the job? And so it takes a lot of like willpower to do it. Because that'll zap your energy if you don't enjoy what you're doing. Um, how are you spending your time outside of work? Like when, depending on, the answers to those other questions, how are you spending it? Are you doing things that feel fulfilling and joyous and creative and nourishing? Or are you doing things that further drain you? So like other commitments. So like are you working a whole lot and then have more commitments outside of the work? Or are you using that time to kind of nourish yourself and fill yourself? Are you overperforming at work? Are you doing more than you need to be doing in order to get the job done? um well, like you can absolutely be doing way too much. That's a common one among my clients because that work twice as hard for half as much spirit is strong within us. And so
Mm-hmm.
could that be it? So there are a few things that I would wonder before even getting to like solutions. um and honestly, I actually don't even feel comfortable giving tools and solutions without that information because that's kind of the issue with giving blanket tools and solutions. You give them and they don't fit the context.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really I would start there and one, ask yourself if your expectations around your time are reasonable. Is your work schedule too demanding for you to be able to have a life outside of it? And if that's the case, then that means a change has to be made within your schedule, or your job yourself. The fulfillment one, and then if you're doing things that are nourishing, then are you overperforming? So if you can answer those questions, if you want to reach out to me afterwards, I'd be happy to give more context. So then I can say, try this method, try this tool, try this thing. That would be a lot more effective. And so feel free to reach out to me after this, whoever that question is.
Well, and on that note, we are at time. I don't know about y'all, but I've learned so much from you just from hearing how you answered all these people's questions because even though I don't necessarily have any kind of specific one for one situations happening in my life, there's always little nuggets that you can kind of take from other people's journey and story. So thank you so much for sharing. Before we hop off here, tell the people where they can find you, if this inspired them to potentially kind of get into having life coaching themselves, where and how can they get that experience from you, all of the things.
Yes, yes. So I am primarily on Instagram as at Dr. Period Shaquinta. Um, I am actually hosting a 30-day challenge coming up in June. It's called The Experiment, and it's based on the idea that life is one big experiment. And so through that, it's going to be 30 days of micro challenges that you can do each day. Yeah, I'm nerding out on this one. I'm a nerd. And so I'm taking a whole lab director role and all that. There's going to be a lab book. We'll have weekly lab meetings to process through how your challenges went. And when the topic of study is you. And so it's those small things to get you to stretch your capacity for risk, to learn new things about yourself, try new experiences, maybe start something you've been holding off or whatever the case may be. So it's going to be super fun, super high energy. That is on my page, link in my bio. To access that or send it out some kind of way. But it is on my Instagram, Dr. Pierce Shaquinta, and then in my link tree. So yeah. And then
Well,
one-on-one always open and available. That can also be scheduled via my link tree. There's a link to schedule a call to see if we vibe.
Yes. Well, if you feel like this was something that spoke to your soul, please go check out at Dr. Shaquinta on Instagram. Your 30-day challenge. I'm like, who do I have time to put that into my schedule? That sounds so cool. I'm so appreciative of you kind of sharing the space and time with our community. The chat is loving you. They then said, please come back. So we might have to try to figure that out. Thank you so much for this time. This was beautiful. And everyone else, enjoy your Tuesday. Find some time for you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, y'all.